Okay, so it is February 2nd, 2021. Yeah. 7 in the morning. I've been up since 5. Anyway, I'm just doing a little follow-up before I start my day, quote unquote, in terms of what's been going on. So the title of this video, I think I'm going to call it Baddest. I don't think I'm spelling it right. Baddest ass guard dog in the neighborhood. Build stability. So the first part of that title is, I guess you could say my new landlord is the baddest ass guard dog in the neighborhood. It's not nobody you want to mess with. Let's just put it that way. Okay. The baddest ass guard dog in the neighborhood. I got the baddest ass guard dog in the neighborhood, people. Right? You take a negative and you turn it into a positive. And that's the most positive thing that I can think of when it comes to my new landlord. He's the baddest ass guard dog in the neighborhood. Nobody wants to mess with this dude. Trust me. Okay? When the shit hits the fan, oh my lord, he's not nobody you want to mess with. He'll run you off the fucking property real fucking fast. Okay? That's the first thing. Now, we know what's happening in the economy, okay? I mean, I know what I'm feeling, right? And I'm a nobody with limited assets, okay? Right? I take a hit and we know what happens to me. I mean, what do I lose? A bunch of junk. A junk that's about worth $200,000 in terms of $2 here, $2 there, $2 there. If you were to add it all up, right, at the end of the day, you know, maybe I might get $200,000 for everything after I sold it for $2 a piece. But besides that point, it's nothing compared to what other people hold in assets in around the province of British Columbia, Canada. Okay, and of course we're facing a food shortage. I'm making myself a coffee. I don't want to drag this on too long because I really do just want to focus on getting this. I'm gonna get into the yams and the sweet potatoes today, right? Because I want to clear out. I've got other things I have to do, and now I can start taking my energies and focusing it on those things soon. But I have to finish up the tail end of this food prepping that I've been doing for the last 9 months. Hardcore. That was the hand that I played to build in stability. Okay, what just recently happened with this threatening of evicting me and all this, like it seriously, people, it came out of fucking nowhere. I didn't expect that, and like my immune system is already down. Okay, so like I don't mean like in the sense of being sick, but like. I started crying and just, that, anyway, besides that point. And of course I feel vulnerable and, blah, blah, blah. All right, so in light of what's been going on in the economy, this year, I mean, obviously I was thinking of doing the yard. I mean, that's the top at my list because I really just want to get it done and feel good about it, right? In terms of it's done. After all these years, it's basically done. And it's really not going to take that much to finish what I need to do outside of some hours. I'm going to be moving rocks around. Tisha said, what are you going to do in the yard? Because, I'm like, why you? And I'm like, I'm going to start with the rocks. She goes, rocks? You're going to start with the rocks? I said, yeah, I'm going to start with the rocks because I got a lot of rocks in my yard, people. And it's like trim, it's like sequins on an outfit. You just use it as trim to decorate it. So just to get me motivated, I'm going to start moving basically a whole bunch of rocks around so that I can, finish the pond area. I don't know if I'm going to put in such a big pond. I might just narrow it down to the tub that I have and then bring in some dirt, right? And I was thinking to grow either herbs or something just because of the economy. food is more important than a pond. That's just going to be an issue for raccoons and that kind of thing. But that's not to say that I'm going to throw everything away in terms of not putting in a pond, because that's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I have everything I need minus a pump, because we tried to use the pump in the back for the... Okay, besides that point. So, what's going on? What's going on? You want to know what's going on after this big, huge kerfuffle. Okay, so my landlords, quote-unquote landlords, right? They came to the house yesterday to pick up rent. And of course, I was prepared to get an eviction notice, okay? I was prepared for that guard dog to show up, but he didn't. Instead, it was my original landlord, with his wife. And he confirmed that he has signed over, I guess, his assets, like the house or whatever, right, to his son, because my landlord has to go back for surgery, and it's major surgery to do with his artery, some major like it's very dangerous surgery. I mean, it was enough that he had to go have heart surgery a couple of years ago. Now they're going into arteries throughout that, like through his whole body or something. I don't know. He was just saying it starts here and it goes all the way down, and it's a big one, and he could bleed to death. And I'm like, oh great, like God forbid, right? I told him I hope you live to 105 years old, like I really do. Like, if you think maybe if you're going to live to 105, you just might. Hold on, I hear my water boiling. Okay, I don't even know where I was. So, they came over, and I looked at them, and I was waiting for the eviction notice, right? I was surprised to see my landlord, but it was good to see him, right? At least he wasn't being tucked away like a dirty secret like Uncle John people. All right? At least he was participating in whatever it is that they do with their family financial assets, unlike Uncle John being literally medically kidnapped and fucking locked up in a hospital for months, deprived of his immediate family. God forbid. You see, the Punjabis, they don't do stuff like that. 1 out of 1,000,000, that's what I was told by the Punjabis. 1 out of 1,000,000 might be disrespectful to their loved ones like that, but I don't know, other people are different. But besides that point. So anyway, my landlord, he did confirm that my new landlord is his son. And I said, yeah, but he's mean. I told my landlord, I said, your son is mean. Right? He goes, oh, he's Canadian and not like us old, school, right? We're different, we talk different, and, and he born in Canada, and, and his wife born in Canada, and, they talk different. That's how he said, they talk different. I said, oh, well, it's more, right? So, he goes, oh no, he's actually a really nice guy, and so is his wife, and and just calm down, don't worry. And I'm like, okay, so what are you saying? Right? I said, what are you saying? And of course, I'm trying to hold back tears, people, because like I said, my immune system is worn down. Like, this daily grind, I mean, right, and just, I don't get enough help because I've lost my daughters. If my daughters were here, like Sierra and Shimei, it'd probably be a little different, right? But, and I don't infringe on Tisha. Tisha's moved on, but she's continuing to still pay for her room, right? Not the full amount, but that's okay. And, she's starting a business, and I'm going to try and help her with that. I mean, I've got more than enough fabric, and I do want to get into a little bit of sewing, and like the good old days, whether it's for the kids or whether it's to sell something with Tisha, because I can make sexy stuff, people. I have everything I need, and she wants to do like a lingerie line, right? So, I mean, that's kind of up my alley, and, I want to see her successful. So, that's what we're going to try and work on anyway, and, she's gone off of welfare, so I'm very proud of her. She did that all on her own, right? And, so I don't want to be too dependent on her, right? Because I'm getting older and I'm having problems with my eyes and this pressure in my head. And, I said, right now I'm still viable. You guys kind of go on with your life. I can still manage basically on my own. But what's going to happen in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now? I don't know. I can't put a time frame on it. There's gonna come a time when, you're either gonna lock me away like a dirty secret in an old folks' home, or you're gonna look after me. Which one is it? But before that happens, I don't want to smother them. So, and I keep my landlords in the loop just so that there's no surprises for them when one fully moves out. Right? Like Tisha technically is moved out, but technically not, because she's still helping me with rent. Right? Marcane's talking about moving out, but then he also said he might move his girlfriend in. Right? So as I hear these things, I just mention it to my landlady. I just this is what is kind of happening around, because what's going on? And I'm like, well, so-and-so's saying this, so-and-so's doing that. I don't know if she panics. Right? I'm trying not to panic. Okay? I'm trying to be strong. Okay? No matter how I'm feeling, I try to be strong. Okay? See? I'm starting to cry already, people. Oh, boy. From the stress. My landlord said his doctor tells him to stay happy. Don't worry about shit. I guess that's why he signed over everything. So, in terms of just the whole bulk of it. Because you have to remember, they own more than one house. And that's another thing. Apparently, I think one of the reasons why the guard dog went on to attack, and it took it out on me, apparently, my landlady was telling Tisha yesterday that one of their houses was infiltrated and turned into a shack. And now they're having to face $60,000 in repairs to clean up the mess. Because it was trashed. Literally trashed. And that wouldn't be unusual. It happens, people out here, okay? And because it was a shack, they smoke their meth and all this other crap in the house. The landlords, by law, are required to replace all the drywall. So I guess this is what's happening with my landlords. I guess one of their houses got infiltrated, came into a mutiny, and then when it came time to remove them, got vindictive and turned around and trashed the house. So my landlady was telling Tisha it's going to cost them something like 60 grand just to do the repairs. So maybe that's why they need the windows, for all I know, right? And I wouldn't be surprised, right? I'm a little suspicious that I'm hearing that now. Why didn't you tell me that the last time you came by? But maybe it's just recent. But that's one of the risks that landlords take when they rent out to tenants. This is what I was trying to explain to this guard dog, quote unquote, new landlord, that, you should be thinking about stability when you look at me, because at least this year, 2022, you don't have to worry about that crap, because I made sure no matter what, I don't care what's going on in the fucking community, I can pay your rent. That's why I did the food security, people, more so. Not only to help my kids if they need it, but obviously to feed my family, right? And to ensure that my landlord would have their rent, because I do respect them. Is it $4,000 a month? Obviously not. But that's not the foot that I came in on, right? Okay? Not saying that, I don't want to say it's fair, because I haven't done anything wrong. But, the equity in the house is still there. So, if they really needed the money that bad, they could sell their house and make $100, $200 profit margin in compared to what they paid into it. I'm just saying, if they really needed the money that bad, right? In terms of, well, if you're not going to give me my $4,000 a month now, I can sell the house, get my 1.7 million, and then you can deal with the new landlord and he'll kick you out. I mean, they have that option, and they're not losing, they're gaining, right? Where I lose everything, I'm back to that square one of losing everything, right? It's just life. It's just life, right? It's just, I have to, when I start to lose things, I just have to make sure that it doesn't completely implode and kill everybody as it comes crashing down. And when you have no resources or assets, it's hard to prevent that from happening, especially if there's nowhere to go once you leave. And with rents being $4,000 for the same type of environment, obviously that puts me in a position where there's no place to go. Now, back to this crack shack shit, okay? I know that if a house is determined to be like that, the landlords are required to redo all the drywalls, because they, these shacks, that's from room to room to room, right? So they have to do the whole house. They have to. I know they're by law, through city coding, they're supposed to. However, it doesn't always work like that, because I know that for a fact. Because this dude next door, when he bought his house, that was a shack for 1.5 years, people. Okay? I mean, don't get me wrong. I wasn't like completely, I wasn't concerned in terms of safety, because I knew a lot of the people that were struggling with addiction on the streets. Okay? And that house next door actually provided shelter for them, just as much as my little shack did when it turned into a mutiny. Right? The difference between the two houses was that landlord over there, he tore down the house. So he just said, let them live, because I said, well, we need to evict some of these guys because they're not, it's supposed to be a recovery house, not a fucking shack. He goes, oh, no, I'm tearing down the house, just leave them alone, let them live. And I'm like, oh. And so, yeah, they pushed me out, and it became a fucking mutiny, and nothing changed. They ended up leaving, and he just tore down the house, so he got rid of his problem. Where this guy next door, I'm telling you, people, okay, maybe I don't know what the hell he did in there, but he didn't do very much, and I know for a fact he didn't freaking do the drywall. And you know how I know that, people? Because when the Koreans lived there, okay, and I have this stuff, I'm going to sell it in with craft ideas, right? Because they ended up giving it all to me, because the Koreans, they ended up moving out, right? And what it is, it's like these they come in bags, and it's a fiber of some kind that you dip it into like a glue base, and you put it onto your wall like this, so it ends up covering up your whole wall, right? To where it's like a glue-on wallpaper that Koreans like to use, and it helps to insulate the house. It's a 2-part thing. And the walls are like that in there. So after everybody was vacated, and the place was up for rent or whatever it was, because I was trying to get that landlord to rent it to me so I could try it again with the little house. You fall off the horse, you get back up and you try it again. Sierra needed housing. I needed to keep an eye on her. It was right next door. As far as I was concerned, I had good reference. And so I was looking inside before he was renting it, talking to him about that, and he never did anything with the walls, people. That's what I'm saying. He never did nothing. And I'm like, wow, that's some shady shit. So when he rented it out, first time around, he rented it out to a bunch of Punjabi men, basically upstairs and downstairs, and I'm working in the yard, and I'm like, do these guys even know what the hell they moved into? Like, I felt bad for them because I know that landlord never did anything with the fucking walls. Right? And then the Punjabi men from the upstairs, they all moved out. And then he moved in that Syrian family. 5 children on the main floor with two adults in a 2-bedroom. And he classified it as a 3-bedroom because of the sunroom that has floors like this. Like, just crooked shit. As he's badgering my landlords to kick me out, literally, people, so that he can rent it for whatever it is that my landlords want, but he's going to tack on a bit more so that he can make more money. Right? And my landlords for several years have been telling this dude, no, 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 no. And every now and then they let me know. So, you know, it kind of chips away at my sense of security, because not only is this guy fucking badgering my landlords to buy this house, this guy over here doing the same fucking thing, the one that killed the pear tree. The pear tree that we need now to feed ourselves because the grocery stores are going bloody bare. Think about it. So come spring, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to look at this pear tree. I've already talked to these neighbors next door, the ones that live there, right? They said, oh, you know, it just needs to take off some of the moss. Well, moss isn't necessarily a bad thing for a tree. It's the fact that he cut the tree in fucking half. He shaved it in half. Every branch that was on that side of the fence, he shaved it. He practically killed the tree if he hasn't already, people. Because he didn't want to pick up the fucking pears. He chopped down the little apple tree that was there. As he's badgering my landlords to sell him the house, so he can overinflate the rent and move in other people into this house. So that all makes me feel insecure. So when the guard dog showed up and started with his devil horns, like, what the fuck? How am I not supposed to take that serious, people? Okay? Like, this is my family. What's left of it. You see, that's the part that makes me want to cry. What's left of it? I'm not even a whole family anymore. And what family I have left is damaged. And sometimes there's just some things you can't repair, no matter how hard you try. And even if you do repair it, it never goes back to the original. My son says I suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome. That's what he says. I'm chronically suffering from that. And of course I mask it. I tend to agree with him. But, okay. So anyway, my landlords, okay, told me not to worry. Told me that this guard dog that I have is actually a nice dog. Okay, that's just a metaphor, right? He's a good boy. He's a good boy. You just have to get underneath the ears and, you know, come on. And his partner, I don't want to call her a bitch, but, you know, she's a dog too, right? She's a guard dog, right? I don't know if I'd want to get her mad. She's a good girl. Oh, she's a good girl. And they'll protect this house like you don't want to mess with them. So if I look at it like that I got the baddest ass guard dogs in the neighborhood, then maybe I can relax and just focus on what I need to focus on. Okay? All this dude has to do is just come to the house when the weather warms up a bit, spend a fucking day or two out there with me. I'll get my son out there helping, and any minor repairs when it comes to whatever it is back there in terms of the porch and that type of shit, we can do it for ourselves. It wouldn't take long. 2 men lifting, hammering, I'm doing whatever, you know, it wouldn't take long to do these miscellaneous things that will compensate for not having to pay somebody else to do it, right? In terms of saving money, right? And then I do my little repairs that I'm going to do, you know, run my vinyl siding where I want. I already told him before he had his episode that I'm keeping them because I'm going to just spruce up the yard with them because it will look nice for trim, to garden off, to trim off garden beds and that type of thing. It will look really nice once it's done. It's just this year, people, to 2021, only because of what our governments were doing, did I stay in the kitchen for 9 months straight, which really was wear and tear on my body, okay? Body and mind. Not only on my body, but a lot of wear and tear on my mind, okay? You know, and that all chips away at my immune system, right? It's like always having to be tight and tense and never really get to relax. Sooner or later, you know, you're going to snap, right? And so, anyway, that's what's happening, right? So now I just have to put that behind me and not worry, right? And follow through on what I'm going to do in terms of, you know, I'm going to start moving rocks around. I'm going to get Andre and a Jude out there this year. I told Andre already. I'm going to pay him and his little friend to do weeding and that kind of stuff. So I don't have to do it as much. And that will give Andre opportunity to learn about money and earning money and how to manage money responsibly because he earned it. Right? Anything else that requires a man in terms of strength and that kind of thing, like I said, I'm willing to go out there and work with this landlord for a day or two with my son. And if he brings a friend, whatever we need to do in terms of using up some of the wood that's in the yard just for this, that, and a few things, then it will take just 1 or 2 days, and that will be it. It will be done. I'll do that vinyl, and that will be done. I'm going to enrich the dirt this year, right? I really want to do that. So that is more my focus, and I was thinking of trying to bring in different forms of hydroponics outside. Some of them you don't even use electricity, just to see if I can try a different growing method versus relying on dirt, because there's only so much growing space available when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I mean, obviously experiment with my grow lights wherever I do that. I'm not sure yet. I still might use Mr. Lace's cat house for that, because I did buy a grow light for it, right? And not sure what's happening with the basement yet, because I'm not pushing my son out, right? But then on the same hand, you know, if he really wants to go and try it before mom gets too old and he has to start looking after me, I'm not going to hold him back. But then emptying out the basement completely just to accommodate my landlord so he can abuse me, that doesn't make sense. Not that I could empty out the basement completely, but there is still the option of renting out the room. But my son hasn't even moved out yet. So, you know, before I do that, I'd have to wait and see what happens. And this is all I was trying to explain to my landlady. And it's better to have the house stable than to have a bunch of crazies move in downstairs and destroy everybody's life. Okay? And it can happen that simple, people. Right? It can happen that fucking simple. And I'm sure in the hell not throwing out the food security, okay? I'm not. I gave my landlord some of those yams and those sweet potatoes. He goes, oh, I so like these. Oh. I said, yeah, they're fresh. They're good. So I'm going to start those today. It'll take me about a week to go through the 2 boxes, but once they're done, they're done. And then I can relax, and I've got them for my grandkids, people. And if need be, I've got them for my landlords who are elderly and would appreciate a jar full, even if it's dehydrated, if there was none to be found. I'm just saying, right? So that's where things are at. I'm kind of like at the same spot in life, but I'm just too emotional with it. And if I don't get a handle on it, I'm going to get sick. Right? But the thing is, I don't know. You see, I'm crying. It's that post-traumatic stress syndrome. So I think for me, because I'm just an emotional kind of girl anyway, you just don't see my emotions like this. You see my, right? You see my guard dog moments, but you never really see much of this stuff. I know this new landlord, oh, you know, you're always playing like you're the victim, and no, buddy. No, I try not to do that. I try and take my, take the bull by the horns and, fight past it, right? Ride it, and try and hold on, and so I don't know. So the way I gotta look at it now is I've got the baddest ass guard dog in the whole freaking neighborhood. Okay, if anyone wants to come to this house and start messing around, I would highly recommend that you stay the fuck away, because if you don't, that guard dog will come out of nowhere, and he will definitely put you in his place. And if you think he's all by himself, let me remind you, he's got his bitch with him. Okay, and she's a badass dog too, right? We don't know what her fury can be like when she's trying to guard her house, right? That's what guard dogs do, right? They guard their houses, right? Right? How else am I supposed to think about it? That makes you laugh. My landlord, you gotta laugh. Calm down. God take care of everything. Sound like Pastor Granny, right? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Right? So I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to relax and feel safe and feel confident and feel secure, right? And so I can build people and just maintain for a little while longer. Where I'm going to go when I leave this house, I don't know yet. I just know that it's just not the time. Just not yet. All right? Now I can focus on, I don't know, paying the rent. Rent, fix up the yard, enrich the dirt, right? Try and be happy a little more, right? Feel secure, a little safe. And if it means that I have to kind of envision my landlords, quote unquote, new ones, as guard dogs, well, just because the guard dog scares you doesn't mean that you can't go, oh, come on, you're a good boy, you good girl, come on. I know you love me, I love you too, you're so good dog, you're so good guard dog, oh, good. This guy will come to my house, and I'll look at him and I'll be, whoa, and then, I'll be like, in my mind, what he is, right? He's a guard dog, right? And I'll be like, I won't tell him, like, oh, you're the guard dog, huh? Okay. But sometimes you have to do stuff like that just to be able to cope with it, right? In terms of making it work in your favor. Right? I mean, I don't want to see him. I'd rather see him as a guard dog, a vicious one at that wants to protect his property, than some demon with devil horns running and doing just being out of control. You understand? Right? My landlords tried to say it was displaced anger. He was all messed up over this fact of what happened with their house and how they're having to spend all this money to do these repairs because of shitty tenants that took advantage of them. right? So that's where we're at. So for all that kahuffle, you think I'd know by now after all these years, right? But you see, sooner or later, it's going to come to an end. And I feel so vulnerable just in general, people. Just in general. I tell Tisha, if I wasn't having such a problem with my eyes and with this pressure in my head, you know, maybe it would be a little different. But with my eyes getting worse and worse, and this pressure not going away, and just with the fact that the workload is getting harder because Amari's getting bigger and heavier, and you know, it's a daily grind, a daily routine, and it doesn't take much to tip me over the edge in terms of making me feel extremely insecure. And we just happened to go through one of those hiccups. But now that it's been established that I can stick around for a little while, and I have, in essence, guard dogs guarding the property, because that's the only way I can get past this trauma that I just went through, thinking I was facing a demon with fucking devil horns that wanted to destroy my life, and I couldn't understand why, outside of, well, you wouldn't be the first guy to be like that to somebody, because, you know, there are a lot of vicious landlords out here, people, like a lot, okay? They're making good money off of doing everything that I've already talked about. And they do shady shit, some of these guys, right? Because it's all about, you know, building wealth and who drives the best truck and who owns the biggest house and who has the most houses and whatnot and whatnot and whatnot. So, you know, that plays a role into when you feel insecure, especially if your family members are dying around you and all that other stuff that I've talked about and talk about. So it's probably going to take me a little while before I can relax in terms of not feel insecure. And even then, with my eyes and the pressure, you know, it keeps me wondering how long I myself I'm going to last. Right? So more reason for me to continue finishing up, because I'm at the tail end with this food prep. A couple, 2-3 more weeks. Put everything away nicely. And then once that's done, it's like a big load off my shoulders. I won't have to deal with it anymore, and then I can get on to other things. And the yard, like I said, I'm looking forward to it this year. I'm going to have to pace myself through it, right? But I'm looking forward to it, because once I finish doing the few things that need to be done, oh boy, it's going to be so nice. So nice. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I'll end it on this note. And because I seen my landlord, you know, and he said what he said, and I'm like, okay, so that means I can stay. All right, well, if that's the case, you know, before you go, I want to make sure you know that I'm thinking about getting chickens, and if I get chickens, I want you to go get me the chickens, because he likes chickens, right? He's my go-to chicken guy. He gave me 7 chickens one time, people, and he sure loved his birds. I did the best I could with them, and he took Mr. Lace. He came and got Mr. Lace for me, and my landlord and landlady, they drove off with Mr. Lace and took him to a farm. I want my rooster back, but I'll never get my rooster here. But besides that point, I said, you know, I'm thinking about it, right? Because I've got the hen house area, right? Oh, yeah. And then after everything was all said and done, I said to my landlady, I said, you heard me talking to your, you know, right? I said, you know, thinking about it, I want to get chickens. She goes, no chickens. I said, yeah, but, you know, might need them, right? You know, I have it. everything I need back there. Oh, they're dirty. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. It's not like I'm getting them tomorrow. It's to back up in case it gets real bad in the grocery store. It's like, it's the fact that we can do it, people, right? And it would be the last thing basically on the list. And it would be in part just so that my landlord can get back in his own mind like the good old days and go be happy and go to the farms and go pick some birds for me and bring them back. And you know, just, it's like my landlady going through the gardens and being like a little girl when she does it. Tisha says, why do you let your landlady, why do you let Mrs. Gill do that? Well, you know, why? And I'm like, well, because it makes her feel like a little girl. She comes and she gets all excited and she, you know, I want that one and I want that one. If she's not in there climbing in there to get it herself or climbing up into the plum tree and trying to grab the plums and I'm standing there just kind of like ready to catch her, you know, right? It makes her feel young, you know. You start getting old like that, you don't, you know, there's only so many things that make you feel empowered in your life and make you feel like you're in control and, you know, bring back those good memories and make you feel young. So I told Sierra or Tisha that's you know, it makes her feel young. Well, the chickens are kind of like the same thing with my landlord. You know, he doesn't come to the yard and go and pick vegetables and grapes but he can go get chickens. I told him I'd get a license. I wouldn't do anything unless I got a license first, right? You know, I mean, everything would be up and par. And she goes, oh, and I'm like, yeah, but oh well, they're dirty. And I'm like, oh, geez, thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah, I said I wouldn't let them run around all over the place anyway. But, and if I did, it would be in a controlled, like you can build a, like a little V thing on wheels with a little door that you can put on your grass and put the chickens inside. And you can wheel it around the yard so that they can peck in the ground and feed your grass. They irrigate the grass because they're pecking in the grass, but they can't just run around all over the place. They're in this little, it's like a little house that's screened off. And then when you're ready to put them away, you open them up and you take them out and you take them to their coop. And you can, because this thing's on wheels, you can move it around, right? And their manure is good for composting and stuff, but they are a lot of work. They are, people, in terms of cleaning their coop, right? I know I had chickens before. And I said, yeah, well, don't worry about it right now. It's not anything that I'm doing tomorrow, right? That will be halfway through the summer if it looks like we're going in that direction. Because, you know, more things are getting done. Because there's a few things I have to still do, right? Not much. And then, so, we still might get chickens. You never know. The grocery stores might get so bad, my landlady will come to me and ask me to get chickens. So she can get some eggs, too. You never know. The point is that we can do it if we want to. But she has a point. But then Andre's getting bigger. So that might be one of Andre's weekly chores. So in the meantime, it's steady as she goes. I've inherited the baddest ass guard dogs in the neighborhood. I wouldn't want anyone messing with them. Let it be forewarned, okay? We'll just leave it on that.